Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this old video, hold on to your breakfast / lunch / dinner, but more importantly, hold on to your butts. The reason I say all this is because a fella named Austin Harrouff managed to, surprisingly, and he was quite literally chomping at the bit. This story takes us back to Florida for like the zillionth time, but more importantly it takes us back to Jupiter. If you recall, we were just there for the story of Gretchen Anthony, and this is actually kinda related. David Anthony and Austin definitely shared some interests, and they were both just absolute nutbars. So alright, I think that's enough, kicking the tires. Let's give it a go. The 15th of August, 2016. What a day it was, what a day it was. I remember it like it was just 5 years ago. It was a Monday, with the temperature getting up to about 32 degrees Celsius. That's 90 Fahrenheit. It was hot. As the evening went on and the temperature started to decrease, though in mid-August, Florida doesn't really, a couple of folks living on Kokomo Lane in Jupiter decided, hey, beer? Those two were John Stevens and Michelle Moshkin. John and Michelle had been married for about 19 years at this point. They were mad about each other. They were lovely, kind, they'd ride around the neighborhood in their golf cart with their dog, Rebel, bobbing along beside them. Michelle worked in the financial industry. John owned a landscaping company. But in 2016, they were both retired. Living the good life, chilling in their garage with the TV on, sipping on beers, waving at folk as they walked by. A neighbor of the beer-swilling couple was a guy named Jeff, and he was up early the next day, so he couldn't partake, so he was jealous. As he was putting on his jammies at about 9:15, he heard something which stopped him dead in his tracks. It was a woman screaming. About 5 minutes later, Jeff called 911.
Don't open that.
Fire rescue, what's your address?
Young man beating up a woman across the street.
Okay, are they outside or in a house?
It's in a garage. I ran over there. I'm bleeding profusely here at the moment.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
Do you know who he is?
I have no idea. It appears he's still there.
Jeff was correct. He was bleeding. In fact, he was nearly dead. After he had heard the scream, Jeff went outside and saw, in the home of John and Michelle across the road, well, the garage was open. They had been settling in for a few sups, TV on, but now he saw them on the ground, a guy there, hitting them. He entered. Michelle wasn't moving, she was in a pool of blood. And this guy said to Jeff, "You don't want to, you don't want this, you don't want any part of this." This guy then attacked Jeff. He fought back, ran through the house, and back home. That's when he noticed he'd been stabbed like a shit ton. The police arrived a few minutes later and entered this load of shite. What they saw was even worse than what Jeff saw. This guy, the attacker, was still in the garage, but he was on top of John, legs wrapped around him like a monkey. And this guy was eating him. He was eating his chest and his cheek and spitting out the flesh. I think this might be the most gruesome way I've ever started a video.
No, sir, I've got this guy wrapped around him and he's fighting him.
The police pulled out their guns. Nothing. Kept chomping. They tasered this guy. Nothing. Still chowing down. He overpowered them when they tried to grab him and handcuff him. He managed to fight them off, went back to it. They unleashed the canine. He fought the dog off, eating poor John the entire time. They started kicking him in the head. Zip. He was like a Superman cannibal. Eventually, they managed to get one hand in the cuffs and drag this guy, he was a kid really, off John. This guy was now saying, fucking kill me, shoot me, I deserve to die. The reason they didn't actually, and, they've done a lot more for less, was that even though this guy was on top of John, eating him, John was missing a few parts at this stage. They thought John was still alive. They didn't want to shoot him in case they hit John. They could hear John crying out as he was dying. It took all of that to get him into the back of the car. He had no criminal history. He was 19 years old. And his name was Austin Harrouff.
Hello bros, it's Austy Frosty, man, and today I want to talk about personal trainers and why you should be cautious when following a personal trainer. First off, a personal trainer doesn't have the same body as you. That's the first point, okay? Personal trainers are themselves, and they found out what worked for them. They went through the trial and error, they did their research, and a lot of them don't even look good, man. That's the funny part, man. You gotta listen to the personal trainer's advice, but you gotta find your way too, man. You gotta learn for yourself. You can't just hope and pray that someone is just gonna give you all the resources that you need, because it's just not gonna happen, man. So, yeah, just be cautious when using a personal trainer and keep at it. Stay gold, stay muscular, quick video, get hoes, get money, get bitches, get sleuths, fly planes, run train. I'm a man.
Austin was born in December 1996, a native of Palm Beach, Florida. He grew up with one younger sister, Haley, his father Wade, a dentist, and his mother, Mina. That was until he reached 13, when his parents divorced and he and his sister stayed with Mother Mina. Now, as a kid, becoming a teen, becoming an adult, he was happy out. Perfect, he's grand, not a bother on him. Some bloke. He enjoyed wrestling, football, and did well enough in school too. He played defensive tackle at Suncoast Community High School, and, according to his personal statement, wanted to study pre-med in college. He ended up studying biology at Florida State University. Austin was generally described by his good friend Sam as a playful, goofy, bit of a jokester, but just generally bang on. That will change, obviously. He first started drinking at age 17. He would drink so much he would black out. Come on now, brown out, not bad. Blackout, not good.
That's a great term, browning out.
You like it? I love it. Thank you.
And once you throw a term like that out and everybody likes it, it's pretty much fair game. We can
It's
use it
public
wherever we want.
domain at that
It becomes
point.
public domain.
He would say he felt pressured to drink by his fraternity bros.
How's it going, guys? Nothing in life worth having is easy. Remember that, guys. You remember that? You remember that? I remember. You gotta promise me that you'll remember that.
He would eventually stop drinking due to wanting to have a fit body. Not my words. And instead he went for other illicit substances. Devil's lettuce, mushrooms, Adderall, LSD, Molly, and all that.
You gotta stay dedicated. Dedication is a very important point. So, we're doing this shit almost every fucking day. You gotta cut out some time in your day that you would devote, drinking, playing video games, whatever it may be.
For a time he would smoke weed, every day. Nothing wrong with that. He said it helped him sleep. So I'm glad he was getting his sleep. But I think there was some underlying issues. Yeah, well, we know how this ends. Growing up, he had intermittent depressive episodes, nothing major, but it was in July 2016 that things really took a turn for the worse. He would get more frequent highs and lows, and they would be more intense. He was home from school, obviously, during the summer, and in that time he decided he would become a popular rapper. And he was convinced he was going straight to the tippity top. With a name like Austy Frosty? Come on, that's billboard material right there. You're missing out. Check him out.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Music Television, and we are presenting Austy Frosty.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm about to perform Hound Dog by Elvis Esquire Presley. You know, the king. Alright, thank you very much, and prepare to listen.
He also became passionate about civil rights. He said he would act as a mediator for Black Lives Matter. He stopped being his usual goofy self and became a very serious person interested in very serious topics. All through this, as the summer of 2016 went on, he was still in college, and he was working away at his dad's dental practice. And he would discuss these things with patients at his dad's dental practice, which his dad thought was weird. Some might say they were, in a waiting room, waiting to, have their chompers checked. Austin saw them as, a captive audience.
I'm not a scientist, bro. But I know how stuff works. I mean, you can call me God if you want to. The God of fitness. I'm just fucking.
It was in early August. He spent the weekend at his girlfriend's house, Katie. She lived in Tampa. That when he woke up, he saw monsters. See, this wouldn't be the first time he saw, hallucinations like that. Growing up, he had sleep paralysis. In his college, while he was in college one time, he thought he saw some, demons, but he wasn't sure if he was asleep or awake. But hallucinations weren't anything entirely new, they were just a lot more there. Upon witnessing this, he started studying religion, philosophy, and he was going to be the next Gandhi / Martin Luther King / famous rapper / Jesus. He started to believe he could manipulate water. He had superpowers. He's an X-Men. As you can see, these mental issues, it all happened very, very suddenly. I mean, this could have been under, the surface for years before finally exploding, tragically, for really everybody involved. In August 2016, he started to become afraid of the dark, that evil spirits were after him, so watch out. He would sleep with the family dog for protection. The dog would protect him, while he would also collect people's business cards for their protection. He would then rip them up because he realized, oh no, me collecting their business cards, it's actually doing the opposite of protection. It's like anti-protection.
Alright, that's it for the day, fellas and ladies and gentlemen. More dieting advice will be coming soon. Thank you very much. This is Vladimir Frostinkov, and
he realized his horoscope was a Sagittarius, a centaur. So he also thought he was a centaur. He would look up, what are the strengths and weaknesses of centaurs? What stats has it got? The Friday before the attack, he flushed all his drugs, as he was concerned about purity. A critical thing happened on the 14th of August, Sunday, the Sunday before. Himself, his dad's girlfriend, and Austin's friend Sam went to a gun show. There, he bought a knife for protection.
What's up, guys? I just want to let you know that I came to a realization of something. I no longer want to follow Arnold or any other bodybuilder. I want to follow myself, I want to actually believe in myself. I want to learn from other things, other people, other bodybuilders and stuff. But I just know that they're not me, I know what's right for me. I don't need drugs. I know that they can change me. But the thing is, that's not being healthy, being healthy is what's natural, you know? Who knows, you know?
In the week preceding what happened, here's a number of texts Austin sent to his girlfriend, Katie. On the morning of Monday, August 15th, Austin woke up quite early. We don't even know if he slept. And he put on some clothing. He put on a jersey, a football jersey, a Falcons jersey. Good man. It was a Michael Vick jersey. He put it on because he thought he was half dog. Vic, dogs, let's move on. He went to the beach where he, quote, ran like an animal. He ended up at his father's house where he left his car. His dad, however, wouldn't give him the keys until he took Xanax. Austin, in turn, jumped up and down on his dad's car, the hood and roof, until he handed over the keys. He eventually ended up at a fraternity brother's house. Others drank and smoked weed. Austin didn't, but he did begin to feel godlike. He ended up going to dinner with his dad's girlfriend, and his friend, Sam, but stormed out after feeling trapped. He then walked to his mother's house. They all lived in Jupiter, pretty, within a couple of miles of each other. When he got to his mother's house, he was feeling thirsty. So he drank cooking oil and then went back to the restaurant. He stormed out again after nearly punching his dad. After which he ran and, quote, followed the stars. At one point, he encountered an evil figure, a dark figure with a white face, he said. And he fled, screaming from it, and ran toward a lit garage, asking for help. This was on Kokomo Lane. Next thing he remembers, he saw a woman screaming at him. He thought she was a witch, so he pulled out the knife he had bought the day before. And yeah, he later grabbed a machete in the garage, and, well, next thing, Jeff called 911.
Don't open that. Don't open that.
No, sir. I've got this guy wrapped around him and he's fighting him.
After that, he just remembers waking up at the hospital. John and Michelle were declared dead at the scene. Jeff had wounds to his lower back, internal bleeding, broken fingers, and cuts on his head. It was around that time, about 2 hours after the initial attack, this is about 11 p.m, the attack happened, after 9, that they got another 911 call. This one was a little late, and it was from Mother Mina.
Yes, I don't know how to do this. My son, he's, kind of taken off, and I'm concerned about his own safety, acting a little strange. Seems like he's a little, delusional, or this is just like recent, change, and that we're noticing. And he was out to dinner with his dad today, and he took off. And he says, he feels immortal and like a superhero. So I don't know what's going on with him.
It's kind of amazing no one picked up on what Austin was going through. I mean, he did have no real history of mental illness, though, like, as I said, it could have been just under the surface and just bubbled up and led to what happened. He was never in trouble with the law, and though he did do a bit of drugs, nothing too major. He wasn't doing like flakka or anything like that. The bath salts guy who also ate a face in Florida. This was a major surprise to pretty much everyone. They all thought he was off on something, off his banana by having some kind of substance in his system. There wasn't. They did all the tests and they found jack shit.
I know it's a terrible situation, but I want to ask you some questions about the night then the incident happened. When was the last time you saw him? At 8:20?
Something like that.
Okay. Where did you see him?
That's when I dropped him off at Duffy's.
You dropped him off at Duffy's? Okay. So you mentioned on your 911 call that he's acting schizophrenic. Is there any history in your family of schizophrenia on your side of the family? Any sign of mental illness on your side of the family?
I mean, we always teased that my brother was, but
Did he ever get treated?
No.
No medicine? What about your son? Did you ever treat him for any?
No.
No? Okay. Has he ever seen a psychiatrist or been treated for?
I don't think he has.
Okay. Was he on any kind of medication?
No.
No? Okay. Jesus Christ.
At the hospital, Austin was still violent, fighting against his restraints, having to be sedated. He had cuts on his hands, his thumb was nearly hacked off. But internal injuries to Austin were worse. See, at one point during the attack, he drank some kind of liquid he found in the garage and knocked it back. Don't know what it was. He would later say he thought it was some kind of alcohol, but it was more likely bleach. It burned the shit out of him. His throat, his stomach, everything. He had severe internal bleeding. His organs would fail for a time. The works. He would be in bad shape for a time, but after a few weeks, he made it. Almost 2 months later, he was charged with 2 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder.
I don't, I have some memory of what happened, but I don't remember how we got into the altercation or into the fighting. I don't remember.
Do you remember her husband coming out?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And do you remember what he said?
No. I really don't have words to explain how I feel. It's like a nightmare.
Is it hard for you to imagine that you did this to these 2 people?
Yeah. I'm sorry for their loss, and I hope that you can find it in your heart to forgive me. And I'm so sorry, and I never wanted this to happen. I'm so sorry. It's like a nightmare.
Austin was at one point diagnosed, among other things, schizophrenia in particular, with clinical lycanthropy delusions, which is werewolf syndrome. PETA, always knowing how to piss people off, sent a letter asking Austin to be put on a vegan diet. I got a feeling he won't ever eat meat again. Austin is still due to stand trial. This case is still ongoing, and he will have to face 2 counts of first-degree murder, burglary of a dwelling with assault or battery while armed, and 1 count of attempted first-degree murder with a weapon.
Please wait while your call is being connected. This is a call from
Austin Harrouff.
Hey, Austin.
Hey, Dad.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay.
I'm real proud of you how you didn't answer any questions.
Yeah. Well, how's life?
It's tough on us, Austin. We're not used to this.
Am I going to be okay?
Yeah, you're going to be okay.
Is everyone scared?
Yeah. But no, we're pretty confident that we can pull something off here.
Yeah. Are you getting me a therapist or anything?
Yes, I plan on it.
Can you do it soon?
Have you talked to your mama yet?
I tried to, but she didn't answer, so I'm going to call her after.
His defense filed, insanity defense, obviously. And he was examined by 2 different doctors, one for the defense and one for the prosecution. They both found the same thing. Here's one. He did not know his conduct was wrong. And here in another, it should be understood that the manifestation of Mr. Harrouff's psychiatric illness resulted in a psychotic episode so acute that 2 innocent people were killed and another near fatally wounded. Such an event is highly unusual, as people with mental illness are no more likely to commit violent crimes than ordinary members of the public. He meets the criteria for legal insanity at the time of the offence, but he should be tested to determine his potential for future acts of violence toward himself or others. The trial has been continually delayed, COVID, really, so who knows when it will actually go ahead. The latest is a status hearing that is set for June 18th, 2021. And that's the date on that one. It's really, tragic all around. I mean, ultimately, of course, you know, your sympathy's gotta lie, and it does with the victims who were horrifically killed. John and Michelle were just chilling, supping on a cold one in the garage when met with a nightmarish end. Their families, John, he had 2 children. They obviously want to see Austin Fry, and he, you know, could be eligible for the death penalty.
I think the defense is total bull.
Well, they hold up the FBI report and you say, see, he didn't do any drugs. Drugs aren't an issue in this case. But what they're not telling the public is what wasn't tested for.
You know, I think, like, true crime's really about justice. The search for it, whether people get it or not. But in this case, is there really any justice to be gotten? I mean, Austin was a victim to an extent as well. He was a victim of his own mental illness that was untreated, and nobody around him seemed to pick up on it or do anything about it. I mean, when you look at Austin's life, you gotta feel sorry for him, you know, especially in August 2016. And it seemed like, you can go look at his Google searches, it seemed like he wanted help, you know? Seems everybody else is just oblivious. It would be grand. Or just didn't pick up on it. I mean, look at his YouTube, he clearly needed help.
I know what you're thinking, you're probably like, that's fucking crazy, mate, like, how the fuck do you do that?
Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you taking the time to be here. Listen, here, go on. I'll see you as always real soon in the next one. Till then, please look after yourselves. I love you. Mike out.